What's up, everybody? I almost forgot to drop the little thumbnail there. I was supposed to go right to it. Instead, we just had it right on there for a little bit, but that's okay.
At least you didn't mute me.
It's true. It's true. What's up, everybody? It's me. It is PLD here with Class Action.
Yes, welcome, people. It's Richard, Eric, Jarvi, and as Paul said, welcome to Class Action.
That's right here.
Fine. What's this date today? Saturday? I'm losing track of time with all this quarantine stuff.
I'll be honest, the only reason I know that it's Saturday is because we're doing Class Action. It's the only reason. It's my streaming schedule. I do Mondays, I do Chill Action. Saturdays, I do Class Action. And Tuesdays, I do my V show. That's the only reason I know the days at this point.
You're getting so much action.
I'm all about it.
Starting with the puns.
Boom. We gotta get it right. I wish I had a soundboard to do that, but
yep.
Because it adds it in there. Scene. Anyway, Class Actions. We're on the Action Industry YouTube channel, home to Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy, who we salute for giving us our little slot here on their YouTube page. We take two very different items, or sometimes similar items, franchises, movies, actors, whatever we want to do. We throw them up against each other, like in 5 custom-made categories. We find out which one is going to be victorious. It's fun. That's what we do.
It is. I liked how you changed tempos there. and this week we're doing the age-old question of which is better, Marvel or DC, and you will not find out the answer on this show because we're just pitching BVS against Civil War.
That's right. We're doing Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. I love that poster. That's an awesome looking poster.
Yes, I do. I think that's one of the coolest DC posters I've seen, like the alternative ones.
Yeah. Some people will say that's actually better than the movie. But I'm not one of those people, but I know there's a...
Me neither. No, sir.
Against it. And we're putting up against Captain America Civil War. Yeah. And it seemed fitting. It seemed to get two movies where the heroes are fighting. That's the main crux of the battles going on at this point. So
they came out during the same year as well.
Yeah, doing good stuff there. So it's interesting choice that you made, that you submitted to us, and I was like, yeah, I kind of like where this is going. We had a couple other superhero ones that were tossed our way, some suggestions made by fans. And
these kind of motivated the choices.
Exactly. So I think we might go back to some of them too, but this one just kind of jumped out at us and said, yeah, let's do it. Of course, that means we're going to be talking Batman vs Superman 2 weeks in a row now. Well, I'll talk about that a little bit later. So,
but there's never enough BVS. I love BVS. Like, I truly do love BVS. I think it's my, like, I don't consider the Nolan Batman movies like proper DC movies. They're like awesome movies and they're awesome like cinematic masterpieces, but somehow they don't fit into all the the rest of the comic book stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. They don't feel as like as fantasy driven comic book movies. So in that case, I would say BVS is my favorite DC movie.
Wow, that's a strong statement there.
Yeah, I do love it.
I get the argument about Nolan. Nolan's definitely tried to make this whole thing a lot more grounded than any of the other ones do. It is kind of a different field, but I don't know if I can quite divorce it like you can. But I'm definitely a proponent for Batman vs Superman. I think it's definitely an underrated movie, especially the Ultimate Edition, which is what I always watch. I like even though it's more time, it just adds more to it and makes it much more sense to me than the other versions did. But
I did love the theatrical edition as well.
I gotta be honest,
getting the director's cut is just a bonus for me.
I gotta be honest, I don't remember the original. I think I watched the theatrical once in the movie theaters, and then I've watched the director's cut or the ultimate edition, as it's called, probably the rest of the time after, like 3 or 4 times afterwards. So I couldn't even tell you what's not in the the theatrical cut anymore. So, but
before we get into like I said, I love BVS. I gotta talk about Civil War just a little bit because I think I surprised you, Paul, when I said that Civil War shares the #1 spot for the greatest Marvel movie of all time for me. So I've got Endgame and Civil War as like they're just like one's in the first spot, one's at the second, but they switch all the time. So
that's definitely a hot take. I would say it's a hot take, and just in general, many people like this film quite a bit. There is definitely a contingency of fans that I think it's overrated. I don't think I've ever seen anybody put it at #1, so that impresses me a little bit.
It's quite the opposite for me because when it came out, it was like, oh, it's a fine movie. Now I'm like, oh my god, it's one of the cleanest, well-crafted Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's like Endgame can be called a bit convoluted and dragging at times, but I don't know, Civil War seems so compact and like knows exactly what it's doing.
I would disagree a little bit on that, but I will. I think I might get into that when we talk about our categories a little bit, so I won't go too far into it. I will say I was about to give away my ranking on it, but I kind of feel like the way we go, that ranking the MCU films is something we're going to eventually try to tackle at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should.
Although maybe we'll do a top 10 instead of ranking all of them. We might be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
4 hours straight.
Yeah, I've done worse. So, well, before we get into our brief of the week, we usually do some segments. We did not get to prepare one of the segments because we are ill prepared.
We are. One might call us a public defender.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a guest on this week, so we're gonna have to forego that. Although I could come up with one. I could come up with one off the cuff for you if you want to try.
Just come up with one for me. I'll just do one.
I will. I'm gonna do it now. I was actually gonna do the other segment first, but I'm already talking about it. Let's do it. Off the cuff. Top 5 DC superheroes in movies. The heroes themselves, not the films.
DCU or everything?
Everything. You can do any DC comics.
Okay. Number 1, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Shazam.
Shazam at number 2. Wow.
I love Shazam.
Wow.
I love Shazam. Number 3, I'm going to go Momoa's Aquaman.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Number 3. Wow.
Damn it, though. Although I would have Wonder Woman and Aquaman on the same peg.
Okay. That's fair.
On the same peg.
You got 5, so that's technically 4.
Oh, we got to go 5. Okay, well, 4. I gotta go with Soups right there.
Soups at that point. Henry Cavill Soup then?
Yeah, definitely Henry. Well, I've just started Superman 78, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I haven't finished it yet. Can't comment on that. And as my number 5, I don't know. I'm only thinking of the most recent movies. I should go. Oh wait, can I? If I said Batman, can I? No. We're doing not portrayals. What we're just doing like the
I don't know why
characters.
I said that. I don't know why I said that, but so you can just choose character. That's fine.
Okay, well then, when I said 3 Aquaman, 4 Wonder Woman, and 5, not a big fan of Flash, but I do like Cyborg though. I think he's so underrated in Justice League.
Okay, fair enough. Do you want to throw in my way? Can you come up with something, or are you not going to be able to do that?
Let's go with top 5 Marvel heroes.
In film, okay.
In film.
And that's a little unfair, though, because let me tell you, there's a lot more Marvel movies than there are DC movies at this point, I think.
This is me not caring.
Not you caring at all. All right. Let's see. I'd say I don't know if I can go top 5, but I'll give you. I don't know about a ranking of 1 to 5. I'll give you my top 5. How about that? Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine has been awesome.
Is that your number 1, or you're just going 5?
I'm just going to give you 5, okay. And maybe then I'll rank them after I do it. Thor from Ragnarok and Endgame, not from before. Thor from Ragnarok, because that's really Hercules. But that's another rant I always do, and I'm going to go one now. Let's see. Star-Lord. I like Star-Lord.
Yes,
he's fun. He's a lot of good fun stuff in that. My son wants me to pick Spider-Man. I know my son loves Spider-Man. So I think for him, I'll
Tom Holland's Spider-Man, or just Spider-Man altogether?
Spider-Man altogether. That's a totally other, that's another segment. I think it's another class action we're going to have to do, the different Spider-Mans. Because I think Parker, Garfield, and Holland all have their pluses and minuses.
Parker? Oh, Tobey Maguire, you mean?
Wow.
Parker.
It's 7 a.m, guys. I just worked. I'm ready to sleep. And then finally, I will end it after 5 with. I'll go RDJ. I'll go RJ Iron Man.
I thought you were gonna go with Captain America.
He's right up there as well. I love both of them, to be honest. I think Robert Downey Jr.'s humor makes up.
Yeah, it's hard to pass him by.
Right, pass him by for that. So that's what we'll go with. So there it is. After that, we do off the cuff anyway. We didn't even describe the segment. We just went on.
You didn't say what it was.
You know by now. If you watch the show, you know by now. Off the cuff, you get the gist.
Yep.
Well, you know what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's go right into our next segment. Let's go to the next segment, the one we always do every week, no matter what it is. Even though Richard R. Jarvi never prepares for it, it seems. I always do. What would Ed Harris play? My favorite segment of the show I've ever done. What is that? What is this segment? If you don't know this segment, if you don't know me by now, I'm surprised you're here. But I love Ed Harris, my favorite actor of all time. Never has mailed in a performance. I always want to see what I could do to put him in every movie because he makes every movie better. So he can either recast a role or you can rewrite a role, newly write in a role in a movie to see how you would put him in the movie and make your movie better. I did it for both.
I just came up with one for BBS.
Oh, yeah? Oh, go ahead.
Because obviously I didn't remember.
Sure, go ahead. I like it.
Sorry. I just said I got one.
Go ahead. I want you to go with it. I'm telling you.
I'm actually going to start with Civil War.
Okay, that's fine. Civil War. Go ahead.
I would have him as the obvious choice, as Secretary Ross. But when they're discussing the Accords, and he can see people are not agreeing with him, he would sort of go like, okay, they're starting to get into the argument, and he's sort of like just hold his shoulder for a bit.
Right.
Like, something is like, what's going on? No, it's just nothing. It's just an old war wound. And I would have really old Ed Harris, like aged Ed Harris, and we find out that he was a general back in the day.
I love it. I love it.
I gotta come up with new ones though.
It's
getting old now.
It's getting old. Kind of funny. We have to stop this if we don't follow, because right now it seems like every time there's a military character, that's our easy one to go with. But that's what he does. We love General Hummel. It's always General Hummel and his boys. This week it's like George Hummel. I just go with a different name.
And when they're fighting over the Accords, it's like, we signed here, you signed there, you signed the wrong goddamn Accords.
Nice, very nice. Well, in my case, I think I would have Ed Harris playing Tony Stark's father.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good one.
I think that would have been great in that role. Him and the disapprovingness of Tony Stark. I think that he could have handled that intenseness very well. I think small role, but would have been kind of a cool role to see. Maybe expanded that role a little bit. Although that's another one of my arguments about Civil War. By the way, I'll throw it in here now. I feel like Civil War is more of an Iron Man movie than it is a Captain America movie half the time. To be honest with you.
I would say it's neither, and I would just say it's an Avengers movie.
Oh,
why didn't they call it Avengers? It boggles my mind. It would have made more money, I feel like.
I feel like it should have, but and it's a marketing issue. I have the whole thing. I always said that Captain America 3 was actually the Avengers, and I always said that the Avengers movies should have been just Marvel Universe Infinity War and Endgame, because it's not just the Avengers, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's Doctor Strange, it's Ant-Man. They're all in there, not all the Avengers. So it didn't make sense to me either. But that's, again, I'm bringing up all these little arguments I have over the DC. They're all coming out all at once. I'm just spilling my guts here, guys. But all right, well, we got a Marvel here. We got the Civil War Ed Harris. What about the DC Ed Harris with Batman vs Superman?
Yeah, I would have him as Lex Luthor's father, the real Lex Luthor. Have him show up. I feel like I almost said I would have like Eisenberg scratched altogether and just have Ed Harris as, the Lex Luthor. But I feel like he would elevate Jesse's like Luthor if we had like this really authoritative figure behind him who's like the reason why young Lex is sort of like this weird, twitchy kind of brat almost. So there's like issues with his father there.
Okay. I like where your mind's at. I have actually to add to that, but I want to talk about Batman first. When I thought about Ed Harris in this role, I realized, like I said, there's 4 roles you could throw him in pretty easily. He could be Perry White in Superman very easily.
Yeah, he would be White Perry then.
He'd be White Perry
because you would be whitewashing him.
I'd be whitewashing him. But hey, at least this is a character that was white before at one point, so it's like I'm just.
That's true. Yeah.
So technically speaking, it's not taking really. The other one would be another whitewash to him because he's a military guy. The Harry Lennox role, the general. Always a military guy. I think that's what we got to do.
Yeah. I remember.
You know what?
The guy from The Matrix. Yeah.
Right. The guy. Yes, the guy from The Matrix. But I think that we should, from now on, we're talking business on air. From now on, for the Ed Harris roles, we can't use a military role.
Oh.
Maybe we should like handicap ourselves.
That's gonna screw me over real nice.
You're welcome. But I also so the other two I thought of. Yeah, I would be interested to see Ed Harris as Alfred, possibly.
Yes, I was just about to say you would kind of slot him as Alfred then.
I would,
It's like the easy choice.
What I was going to do, I was actually
Papa Wayne.
I was going to do Lex Luthor.
Oh, Lex Luthor. All right.
And here's the reason why. Because I shouldn't get into too much because I'm getting into my categories, but I think Ed Harris would be a very menacing Lex Luthor and be a very much more classic version of Lex Luthor.
For sure.
And I think I like that better.
Would be more in the vein of Gene Hackman's.
Gene Hackman without the humor, basically. He wouldn't be as humorful. He'd be much more serious, much more darker and sinister, which would fit the Zack Snyder universe very well, I think, to be honest.
I think I blew the lid that I haven't seen Superman yet, so I just figured I'd throw in. I know Gene Hackman played Luthor. Got no idea because he hasn't popped on. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
No.
He's great. He does more. It's just a different era. It's a little more campy, a little more. I wouldn't say silly, but it's more different. You'll get there.
It's a campy movie. I get that.
So, all right. Well, that's where we are with what Harris plays. So you know what? Let's just go right into it. Batman versus Superman versus Captain America: Civil War. We got 5 categories in our brief of the week, people. 5 categories to go to break them down. We broke them down to this way. One, that's better battles, better action, better fights. I mean, there's a ton of fights in all 3 movies. All 3 movies. Both movies have great fights.
It's like Batman, Superman, and Civil War.
Well, it is Batman versus Superman versus Civil War.
Going apart today.
I gotta say, guys, we had talked about this before we went on the air. We're kind of feeling a little loopy,
it's weird.
Together, weird feeling today. We're just gonna go forward and see what happens. So we're a little bit off the rails today. So thanks for sticking with us because we love you.
We do.
Category number 2 is going to be better concepts. What we mean by that, motivations for the fight. That's the whole idea. We have these heroes fighting each other. Why are they fighting each other? I mean, it's very much a comic book trope. But we want to really establish which one seems more real, more truthful, more interesting.
Yep.
Why? Number 3, better character introductions. Both films introduce characters to their respective universes, DCU and MCU, and both were kind of celebrated for it to a degree.
Yeah, they bring in big characters.
They both do them in celebrated ways. So we're going to talk about which one did he better, possibly. Number 4, better villains. There's definitely, even though the heroes were fighting each other, there were some villains to deal with, as usually as another comic book trope. Heroes fight, they team up to fight the bad guy. So we'll talk about which one is the better and more interesting, more menacing villains there. Finally, this is kind of a weird one to explain. We call it a better comic book feel, but they are based on comic books. So which movie felt more like a comic book come to life in a way? It could be visually, it could be just tonally, it could be the way it looks. It could be anything we thought about, but we thought it'd be an interesting way to compare and contrast them. So. Without further ado, I got to get my notebook ready so I can write down our scores here.
Get your notebook.
Better. It's actually just a piece of paper.
Got my notebook here.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Not using it, though.
I should use it. I'm only looking at the piece of paper that's like my V thing. All right. Better battles. We have PVS, Civil War. Better battles. Why don't you take the lead first for that one, my friend?
Yep. Interestingly enough, the biggest battles in both movies are not the ones I'm rating these on. Like in Civil War, everyone talks about the airport scene, right?
Yeah.
It's like everyone's, oh my God, the airport scene. It's like the best fight scene in the movie, but it's not my favorite in Civil War. And the same with BVS. Like my favorite fight scene isn't Batman fighting Superman or even the fight with Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start with BVS. The coolest and the best, almost, it's like a whole fist pump in the movie. It's the warehouse scene. Everyone's been saying it's so like, but stakes are not as high, which is weird. It's just Batman brawling through the henchmen. But it's so visceral, it's so brutal. It shows you everything you want about the character and how Batman is in this movie. And I gotta say, when people say that Batman's killing people left and right, that is a different Batman. I'm sorry. I know like comic book readers don't like when they take these kind of liberties, but I do love how they portrayed Batman, and the fact that he might have killed some people in the process. That is a different. He's worn down. He's jaded, and the entire scene when he's saving Martha in that warehouse, it's
very good.
It's so cool. You can watch it endlessly. There's no stakes, but the way Zack Snyder shoots the scene is truly amazing. Like, go ahead if you want to interject. I could feel you wanted to.
No, I agree with you on that aspect. The warehouse scene is probably my favorite in both films, to be honest with you. Although I will slide in there one of my favorites. Again, it's not the big one. It's not the airport scene, which is great. Airport scene is phenomenal. I really loved, I think the low key never gets talked about much, is the three-way fight at the end between Cap, Iron Man.
Yes, same.
It goes on. It's so emotional. I mean, I
there's so much stakes.
So much at stake. They're both like fighting in front. Like my heart's breaking for them, but for Cap and Iron Man, I mean, there's lines in there. You know, he's my friend. You know, so was I.
So was I.
Oh God,
he killed my mom.
Exactly.
It's like you can. It's such an unreasonable line, but it explains everything. You don't need any more explanation. It's you killed my mom. I don't care. I'm gonna fucking kill you if I can. Sorry for cursing.
That's all you got. Get there. The one line, the intenseness starts. Did you know? And Cap, like heartbreaking. Can't tell a lie. Like, did you know? Yes. Oh God, so good, so good. It's just so much part of the fight than everything else. I mean, the emotions make the fight, and so that's what I love about it.
And it's not all about emotion. There's some the way they throw the shield to each other and
things. And, oh God!
Is when Iron Man just does this two hands this and Cap goes the shield. It's like a slow-mo moment.
Right,
like a snapshot from the comic book.
Perfectly. Oh, you're waiting for it. It's just as much as it's not even like they didn't call the movie Captain America versus Iron Man Civil War. They call it Captain America. So it's not even like the draw, but it ends up being just as big as a Batman versus Superman fight easily.
Yep.
So it works for there.
And the airport scene is cool, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't have any stakes really. It's almost like a fun scene to watch, like Spider-Man showing up. So, what's going on? There's usually not this much fighting. You're like, okay, this is a jokey fight. And then even I don't remember who it was. Says you're pulling your punches, like when they're fighting. It's like, right? They are pulling their punches. You can tell they don't mean to kill anyone.
Well, that's true, but it does get the stakes because remember at the end of the fight, War Machine.
Yep.
Yelled, and actually, it's a great Marvel. It's a Marvel trope that they seem to be able to do. During great emotions, they can add a bit of humor, but it still works. Like Rhodey falls, Tony goes down and grabs him like in his arms, and Falcon comes down like, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
and it's kind of. I almost want to laugh. It's like it's not really. It's not that funny.
No, I get it.
But
it's like the Hulk moment when he goes for Thor.
So that exactly. But I do. I agree with you. The Civil War has a lot less stakes. I mean, so that out of the rather the airport scene itself overall, comparatively, so I get where you're coming from. Although it does make up for it with the pure visual comic book fun of it. I mean, that's a fight where that's the fight even more than Batman versus Superman was, or versus Doomsday. You think about a big comic book brawl, getting all those freaking characters on screen fighting at once. That's a comic book fan's living dream.
But we've gotten that before,
but not at that level though. Against each other, like some of your favorites are squaring off. You're getting Spider-Man versus Winter Soldier and Falcon. You're getting Wanda versus Vision in a way. You're getting Black Widow versus Black Panther.
You're getting Giant Man
versus everybody. Getting Captain America versus Spider-Man to a degree. A lot of give and take that you didn't get to see before in any other film, and if that was finally something that came to light, that's a big draw to it. Which one is better though?
There's one more scene before you even make your decision. That one more scene, it's not a battle scene, but it could be considered a fight scene in BVS, and it's the first time that we see Batman suited up is when the two officers in Gotham are going into that abandoned house. And he's at the top of the ceiling, just looming over. So like almost like a horror movie because you're sort of scared and it just crawls the ceiling and goes away. It's not really a fight or a battle, but it's a really cool scene.
I gotta be honest with you. As much as I'm looking forward to Matt Reeves, the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and I am looking forward to it. I have that small
Want
regret.
the Snyder cut more.
Snyder cut and Snyder. I would love to have seen a Snyder Batman movie with
Oh
that.
yeah.
The way that they showed him in that, I want to see more of that. I do. Another fight sequence we should mention also is the beginning of Civil War. They take down Rumlow, the crossbones.
Oh right. Oh, I had another one. That is a cool one. That's exactly what Ben and Drew talked about. Is how they portray Cap's power and strength.
Right. Yes,
is like he's throwing these even before Rumlow when he's throwing the cars, like punching the henchmen.
Yep.
When he gets to Rumlow.
So this is such good stuff, man.
And there is another one when Zemo is breaking out Bucky, the fight that Iron Man and Bucky had when Iron Man only has his like watch, and just does his one hand fight with the gun. Right. So cool,
very cool, very cool. Black Panther chasing down. When Cap finds Bucky and they have to run away. They get caught eventually. Black Panther gets involved and everything else. It's a lot of cool stuff. But we're not even talking about Batman vs Superman at all. And Batman vs Superman's an awesome fight in and of itself. Also, I mean,
it is. But I've got issues with the Doomsday fight and with the Batman. Like the Batman versus Superman fight is probably the clunkiest fight in the movie.
Visually,
like I even enjoy the Doomsday fight more. I don't know. I know the movie's called Batman v Superman. People want to see Batman versus Superman, and I have no issues with the Martha moment. I know people do. I know you don't either.
I don't either, and we might as well talk about it right now. I might as well bring it up. I don't care what people say. I think it's a great moment. I understand that the line afterwards about like saving Martha and talking about me really mean Martha instead of like my mother or something like that. I get the little bit of clunkiness of it. And I also get the fact that Batman turns really quickly and becomes like it's a mention of like he mentions Martha and all of a sudden he goes from boom to like best friends really quickly. But the speed of it doesn't cheapen the very idea of the moment itself. The moment itself when he says Martha, the whole movie is spent with Bruce Wayne thinking his whole concept is alien. Superman is an alien.
He's very unreasonable throughout the movie, and he has this fear and anger towards Superman that's not really. You know that he's going to turn the corner at some point,
but he needs something to do it, and also he needs something. Also, he realizes, oh wow, this guy's actually more human than I thought. And this is the moment I thought, well, this guy has a mother. A guy has a mother named Martha, just like I do. And it made so much sense to me to stop, at least make him pause, all of a sudden say, wow, this is something different. Now, did it go too fast afterwards? Yeah, a little bit. But people like blame that moment for like saying it's awful, it's cheesy. I'll be honest with you, maybe it's me, maybe I'm dumb. I totally didn't realize they both had Mother's Day Martha until this movie. I didn't even think about it. I didn't like ring anything true to me. I was like, whatever. I knew their names, but I didn't really think about it. That's kind of a cool moment to me. I like that moment. I'll stand by it. So that's just me. But here we are.
But it feels to me that we're both giving this to Civil War because even though BVS has some really cool, like I'm talking what I'm deciding, I think I'm giving this to Civil War, and minus the airport scene, which is like in my opinion the weakest part of the movie, which is a really weird thing to say. It's not a weak part, but the fight itself, like if we're talking fights, not real stakes in that one. And I'm giving this based on the final fight between Bucky, Iron Man, and Cap. That is a huge fight for me.
I think I got to give it a Civil War too, only because I think it's like I said, it's the fights are just tighter. They're more.
Yep.
Not even choreographed. Just they're more. They're beautiful fight sequences. You're just like watch. Wow. Or Batman vs Superman has a lot of some cool moments, like the warehouse scene. The warehouse scene is like legitimately a good like fight, just like Marvel has, but Marvel has all of them or feel like that. Which I agree. I love the Batman vs Superman emotional fight, but it does seem a lot more, like you said, clunky, a lot more visually kind of not as momentous. So I will give it to Civil War as well. Basically partially because of the airport sequence, because of the crispness of it and the wow factor of that. But I too love that emotional final battle as well. So there we go. We got one down. better concept, motivations for the fight. This is going to be a run-out battle for me, I have to say. I'll start with
Go ahead. Yeah.
I already kind of went into it. I loved what they do with Bruce Wayne in this movie. Yeah. I loved where they started, how they start this movie at the end of Man of Steel from Bruce Wayne's perspective, and you automatically know who this Bruce Wayne character is. Everybody's running away from the burning buildings. He's running
in.
He's running in, not stopping. He's trying to save his people. He's yelling at us, get the building, get the people out. He's saving the little girl. He's saving his employees. And that look of pure rage on his face as he watches Superman fighting Zod up there. And it just takes over his body, takes over his whole potential, the rest of the film is about, well, at least
if you can take it as 1%, we have to think of it as like absolute certainty. Or there's some line, I don't know, there's a really cool line that it says, if there's even a 1% chance that he could do harm, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Yeah,
like so unreasonable, but so like firm and invested in his
convictions, and they're not. I could say they're arguable arguments. I mean, it's a conviction. You can say that he's got a point.
He destroyed the city. Superman destroyed the city,
and there's more than we don't know how many more of them there are out there. And you got Superman out there as a god. I mean, even later moments when he talks to Clark in that great scene at the Lexus Museum or the library, whatever it is. It's kind of hypocritical, aren't you? Clark talking about that. You have a guy who level a whole city with just even thinking about it, or whatever. It's just that's his intent, is that he has to save the world. He's always been saving the world. That's been his whole protecting Gotham from threats, and this is like a mega level threat. So his intention is pure. He wants to save the world from destruction. So that motivation is one of my favorite parts of the whole scene. And that's his motivation to fight. Superman's motivation to fight is where
it's coerced by Luthor.
It is coerced by Luthor, and that's true. But it's all about the characterization. He loves his mother. It's pure love. That's all it is. He doesn't want to fight Batman. He wants Batman to put down because he doesn't like Batman. He is justice and law, or he is rather law and order. While Batman's more justice and it's chaotic justice. But so it's someone who's they're diametrically opposed. And here's the argument I'm going to make right here as I go into my Civil War side, is that these characters, Batman and Superman, feel true to their characters as far as they're being diametrically opposed to each other in that way. Years and years have been built up. Superman's law and order, Batman's chaotic truth and justice. Superman's motivations are about his mother and about Batman being outside the law and using fear. Batman's motivations are, I don't care what the law says about you. I'm here for justice and protection at any means necessary. Those motivations start the fight. Civil War. Now, Civil War on the surface.
It starts with the Accords, which is the surface.
It is a very interesting argument. It's kind of similar to the Superman argument. You have, if we had in real life a group of superpowered Avengers teams, for sure the governments are going to try to control them because, and there's an argument to be made that they should, because if you have a superhero team that has no oversight, they can do anything they want, and they might get involved in places they shouldn't get involved in, and it becomes a scary position. So Tony's side, or Ross's side, it has valid arguments to be made. That's why I love the diametrical, the give and take that Tony and Cap and what they all have is like that's what I favorite scenes of the whole movie. Not the fights, is their conversation around the table, where they let out these ideas of like, well, we can't do this because of this. Cap, what if they send us here and we don't want to go here? It's this great moment. However, I do have one little complaint about that, is that they set it up for to be Tony versus Cap because they're the big two guys. So they're the big ones. They have to face each other somehow. I don't feel like Tony would side the way he side.
Yeah. Right? It feels like it should be the other way.
Almost feels like it should be the other way. And I don't know if they flipped it to be interesting or they flipped it for whatever reason. I can get behind. And the thing is, Cap's argument does sway me as far as like I can if you told me right from the get-go what the sides were, okay, it's the Cap on this side, Tony on this side.
Absolutely.
But in the movie, it works for me for Cap. I kind of get what he's saying, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Tony doesn't. And I really feel like they should have leaned on. They touch on one thing that they should have leaned on more, because they do the whole thing where Tony meets the woman whose son died in Sokovia.
That's like the only reason. It almost is the only reason.
It seems like he's a smart guy. He knows this is happening. He's not going to get not touched by one thing. That's not going to sway him. Now, they do touch on later on. Tony says, I'm doing this now because I realize that if we don't do this now, then someone's going to come in later on and do it for us. And I'm trying to be the one to control the situation. That argument makes more sense to me, but it feels like it's a flimsy argument from Tony during the movie itself. You know what I'm trying to say there? You know what I'm saying there? Like, I like the idea of it, but it doesn't seem strong for him. So in this case, you get Tony acting, to me, out of character. I like the fight, but the character doesn't seem genuine to me.
Yeah, I get that, because Cap is the military kid, pretty much. He has come through the system like that, and Tony has always been the maverick. So it's weird that he's the one who wants to set these rules. Although if you think about Avengers, Age of Ultron, that's Tony fucking up big time, and he feels super. They even talk about Sokovia, right? And not just the fact that they fought in Sokovia and they almost blew up they did blow up the entire city pretty much. But the fact why it all happened is because Tony and Banner played God pretty much. They started all this AI stuff and they birthed Ultron. So in that case, I can see him getting to those conclusions. He feels like he's not to be trusted by himself anymore. But having said that, there is a weird moment in the movie where when Tony's trying to find out where Cap went, and he's like going to the cells and he's getting information from Anthony Mackie. What's the character's name? Sam Wilson. Getting information. He's like, you got to go as a friend, blah, 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 right? And he goes, and he's like, don't tell Ross that I'm going. Or so he lies to him that I'm just taking care of something. But that's him contradicting the Accords. He wanted the Accords, and he's not going to act by the Accords. That for me was like a huge plot hole, or sort of like it's
very Tony Stark.
Weird.
It's very Tony Stark in a way. Like, he wants control, but he wants to be in control of the situation. So I guess
in his own terms.
That was on his own terms. But it just felt very. I guess it just was the fact that I'm questioning it at all. This seems to be less like I got to give it to Batman vs Superman, because I feel like that's more pure, true motivations that stay true to the characters. Granted, Batman was a new character, so he hadn't established a character yet. Theoretically, obviously he's established as a DC character, but each time you bring somebody new, it's a different take on the character. So you don't have time to establish anything else but that motivation. But it just felt more genuine to me than Civil War did.
You're missing one part, though. You're talking about the fight because of the Accords, but the real fight is because Bucky killed Tony's parents.
Okay.
That's exactly the airport fight versus the final fight. There's so much. They're like totally different spectrum, because Tony's fighting to avenge his parents, Bucky's fighting just to pretty much stay alive and redeem himself, and Cap is fighting to save his best friend.
You're right. That's also only the last third of the movie, though.
That is also true.
Comparative.
That is also true.
So I can still give it to Batman. I like the argument, but I'm going to give it to Batman vs Superman myself.
I'm doing the same thing.
Okay.
And that's because of you, pretty much. You swayed me.
I'm glad I'm doing the Lord's work here. All right, let's move on to category number 3, the better character introductions. And I think I might have a hot take on this one, so I'll let you go first.
All right, yeah. Undecided again, but I'm not gonna sway. I'll let you sway me, because like both have Civil War. They bring in Spider-Man and T'Challa, right?
Yes.
And BVS we have pretty much they only bring in Wonder Woman. I don't know if they introduce Aquaman. Well, okay, well I don't consider that. I think of the introductions.
That's introduction.
Yeah.
That's his first appearance.
No, I don't. No. You can decide on that, but he's like the lead character in the movie. That's not an introduction. I mean, the introduction, like the side character introduction, is what I meant by that. But I do like, people have been talking shit about the quick introductions about Aquaman, the Flash, and Cyborg. Weirdly enough, like Cyborg is, I think, my favorite introduction, which is weird because it's almost entirely green screen.
Right.
But the way Cyborg screams when he's like almost transformed, so much like pain and emotion behind that.
Right.
It feels so strong. The moment. And but we have Civil War. And I definitely have to bring out Black Panther, T'Challa. I think that is the best depiction of Black Panther in all of the Marvel movies so far, even better than in the Black Panther movie itself.
Oh, I agree. I like that.
He's so mysterious. He's cool. We pretty much know nothing about him.
Well, that's the fault of having not the fault, but the downside of having a movie called The Black Panther where you're the focus of the central character. You can't have the mystery anymore. That's the reason why you're having the movie. Having them introduced in this kind of movie, you can have that mystery, have that edge.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry,
No. Yeah, and Peter like Spider-Man's introduction. We've seen I'm so glad that they decided, well, we're not going to like do the origin story once again. Peter Parker is this like high school kid. He's already doing his Batman stuff, and the way that this is where they start the Tony Stark and Peter Parker relationship, which is
cornerstone.
Which is like there's chemistry from the get-go with Aunt May and with Peter and Tony themselves. You can tell there's something special is coming from that one. So yeah, I'm already like pretty much saying what I'm deciding this on. Yeah, it feels like it's going to Civil War.
Okay. Fair enough. If you're good, I'll mark it down for you. I'll see it.
Although, I didn't mention Wonder Woman though.
No, that's true.
Wonder Woman showing up at the final fight, I think is the greatest fist bump in all the DCEU movies.
I think it rivals Thor in arriving in Wakanda. I do. I mean, it's not quite as big or as celebrated, but it's a similar kind of moment and a similar kind of feel. I love that moment when she bursts in there, like Batman's like, oh shit, boom.
Then we got the Junkie XL soundtrack coming on,
and you're just like, oh fuck, she's a badass.
Yep.
You knew she was fucking Wonder Woman. I mean, you know that, but my God, you see her like, oh, it's Wonder Woman. You're actually in trouble.
And it's Gal Gadot. She's amazing.
But you know what? Not only that, I'm going to bring it to mind now. I love her in the beginning of the movie at the party.
Yeah.
With Bruce, and she keeps Bruce. I love the line. I remember going in that there was questions about Gal Gadot's acting. That like she's a very attractive woman. She's a very physical woman that she could handle the role, but her acting was in question from a few pundits.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I thought she was fine. I love that. I love her lines when like Bruce says something effective, like, I've known women like you, 9 out of 10, blah blah blah, and she just turns and goes, "You've never met a woman like me." And you're like, you're right. We know this now. But she's so powerful, so straightforward. I left it in your glove box. The drive's in your glove box. Everything about it is you want to know more about her. It's such a great, subtle introduction to the character. And don't go all into it until the end. And also later at the end, that's when she comes in and you're like, fuck yeah. Now, I mean, it's almost like you wish you didn't know that was Wonder Woman. Because like that, it would have been even more effective. See, who is this one? Who is this woman? Oh, it's fucking Wonder Woman. but either way, I still think it's a great introduction to the characters. I love it so much. But yeah, I'll go with that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go into mine now. You didn't actually. So are you going with Civil War? You're staying with Civil War?
I'm going with Civil War because, like, Wonder Woman has her own movie, and I think she's better in her own movie than she's in BVS, versus in Civil War, I feel like Black Panther is better than he is in his own movie. That's like the reason. I don't know. The way they bring in Black Panther and T'Challa and pretty much him having the Lion King moment with his father, there's not much time needed, but they use that time so well.
Oh, yeah, and actually I will add on to that real quick, time Civil War. I love I like the more subtle moments. There's 2 moments in there where after T'Chaka is killed, Natasha and him have the moment on the bench, and she's like, "I'm sorry this happened." And he just comes up, he's like, "Don't worry about it. I got him. I'm gonna."
Yep.
And then, but then also mark that at the end when he has that moment with Zemo.
Vengeance has consumed you. I shouldn't do the accent. Sorry.
No, I'm not going to do that, and I won't refuse to. I'm going to hire Ben Bateman to come on and do it for me. But as that he stops him from killing himself. He turns that corner. It's great character development in the basement movie. That's not his movie at all. So I like that as well. But going back to BVS, I love the Wonder Woman is the entrance and everything else. I love the little sequences. I thought that was a great way to introduce the Justice League.
Yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, was it not a good way to do was it not a good way to do the Justice League like that? Probably. They know they're trying to do something anti-Marvel, or at least they're copying Marvel. They tried a different tactic. It didn't work.
Reverse engineer it pretty much.
Right. But with that being mind, I love the whole thing. I love the idea of Batman finding them, or everybody finding them like in small pieces. And I love the Flash, and I apologize for this. Like, this is me being, I don't remember what was in the Ultimate Edition, what wasn't in the Ultimate Edition. So I don't know if some of this was not in the theatrical, but I watched the Ultimate Edition. I like the Flash moment where he pops onto Batman and Bruce in the cave.
Yes.
The whole thing that ended up not getting a payoff eventually because we screwed up.
Yeah, that is such a cool moment.
The moment it was cool. He's like, oh, what is this leading to?
I think it should have been like the Flashpoint introduction, right?
I think it was, and maybe it will be still. Technically speaking, it will be. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I have to say, but that, and again, you don't like it. I don't care. Batman. The first time you see him, just like that scene we mentioned, they're going into the cops are in the building, and he's up in the corner like a freaking bat. He's bending him. The way he moves, it's like holy fuck. Because you've seen Batman on film before. You've seen him at 66. You saw him with Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer. You saw him with Christian Bale. That was one of the scariest moments of Batman I'd seen. Like the scariest, like more intimidating Batman I'd seen. I love that introduction of Batman to the universe there. So I'm giving it to Batman vs Superman, and here's why. I think another reason why is because they're both, to me, it's a very close race. But because I feel Batman vs Superman is like underrated comparatively to Civil War, I'm going to give Batman vs Superman the points to give it some credit. So I'm going Batman vs BVS for that one. I love Civil Wars.
No, I get it, and I'm glad you picked that way. It's just, I don't know, for me, maybe I've seen BVS so many times that I don't consider it a Batman introduction. I don't know. For me, when I think introductions, I think of the side characters.
I get it. I get it.
But it makes sense. It makes perfect sense that you would categorize it that way.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on then. Hopefully, we're not going to have another hung jury at this point. You never know. Better villains. Your turn to go first, I think.
And we have Lex Luthor versus Baron Zemo. Or even Lex Luthor and Doomsday versus Baron Zemo. Although, before I talk about them separately, I think we have to acknowledge the fact that this is one of the few movies and few comic book movies where the villains actually win. They pretty much, both of them, achieve their goal. Zemo breaks up the Avengers. They don't form again until Infinity War. Lex kills Superman. Just think about it. Of course, he doesn't thrust the spear into him, but he effectively kills Superman.
Yeah.
Zemo breaks up the Avengers, and Bucky goes into ice, and Cap and Tony are at war with themselves, between themselves, and so that if you really think about it. Like, okay, Thanos also won in Infinity War, right?
Right.
But both of these, and we didn't really get a great sequel to BVS, like in terms of Lex Luthor.
Right.
We never saw where his arc would go.
Interesting.
But Zemo, I feel like he's a really underrated villain. He doesn't have a lot of screen time. And he's pretty much like a non-existent character, but he's very important to the movie. And in my opinion, he gives the movie a very like real life political thriller kind of feel. You could almost argue that he could be considered as the 21st century like terrorist. He bombs the UN. He has like his home was bombed.
Mhm.
You can draw the lines there. And I do love Daniel Bruhl.
I do too. I like it.
He's I almost want like Zemo to get this would never happen, but like a prequel story. I do want him to see him on like the Scorpion Squad or whatever he's.
Plus, maybe.
Yeah, maybe because we're getting what kind of prequel are we getting?
All sorts of different Marvel movies, Marvel ones.
There was a prequel in development. Oh no, that's just Bucky versus Bucky and Sam Wilson.
Yeah,
maybe I'm mixing something up.
There's like 9 or 10 of them. So I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a bunch of them in the works. So,
and talking about Zemo, he's not really like what Zemo does. He doesn't what he does to accomplish to get Tony and Rogers to fight. It's just he's just being a messenger. He just brings them the truth. He shows Tony Stark what Bucky actually did. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about Luther coerces and engineers the feud, sort of like on Batman's side, it's all there. But Superman, he has to kidnap Martha. He has to force Superman to fight him. What I love about Zemo is that he just brings the message, mm-hmm. and he lets things unravel. Of mm-hmm. course, yeah, he bombs the UN. All right, no, I'll give you that one.
And blames Bucky. So,
yeah, that's true. We talked about Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor. I feel like this is one of the biggest argument points now for the both of us. You said that you didn't mind him before, but you do mind him now.
Let me throw something in here for. Do you have a decision, or are you still deciding?
I wanted to talk. I have a decision, but I wanted to talk about Luthor with you before I say where
I have a decision. It's still War, hands down. I don't like the villains of Batman Superman anymore either. First of all, Doomsday is not a villain. Doomsday is a mountain. He's not a character. He's just a mountain, basically. He's just an impossible. Lex Luthor. I defended Eisenberg the first time I saw it, and I kind of always stuck to that. But more and more I see him, I just fucking hate his Luthor. I fucking hate his Lex Luthor because he's not Lex Luthor. First of all, he's not Lex Luthor. Second of all, I don't get his motivation. He has no motivation. Like, his motivation is not a Lex Luthor motivation. It's the whole thing is I want Superman to die. Why? Superman hasn't done anything to him yet. Mm-hmm. Like the idea behind Lex Luthor is that Lex Luthor's trying to get power, trying to take over the world, that kind of stuff. To twist his motivation to something like it almost like makes him seem good in a way. He has the good intentions behind it, but yet he acts like an asshole, and then he creates the fucking godlike monster to be. It all just seems to be a mess, and his quirkiness just annoys the shit out of me. Like, I like this guy for his quirkiness in like different characters, but not Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor, I want Lex Luthor to be intimidating. I want Lex Luthor to be someone like he's got power, but beyond the power, he's just that intimidating, like a kingpin type of character where he walks in, people do what he's told. This guy is a fucking spec that like he's annoying. He feels like he's get out of my fucking face. Like there's nothing about him I can't defend him anymore at the end. And then again, Jesse Eisenberg, I like Jesse Eisenberg in a lot of different roles. This is not fucking Lex Luthor. This is like the Riddler trying to be Lex Luthor or something. And it just pisses me off more and more at the end of that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right. The fucking Jolly Adventures are great. It's nothing about this did anything for me. And just more and more I see it, and more it pisses me off. It doesn't lessen the movie for me because the movie to me is not about the villains at all. It's all about Batman versus Superman. It's about their characters, their motivations in the beginning of the Justice League. Lex Luthor can go pound salt. I just don't. So it makes it easy. Daniel Bruhl, we are talking about. I love Daniel Bruhl in this. Zemo, the thing is, the funny thing about it is, again, like you said, Zemo actually, even though you say Zemo is an integral part, he is a key part, but he's almost not necessary either. He could have found a different way, but yet I like his motivations. I like his characterizations. He seemed like a true. His character was true, and I like you said, I wouldn't mind seeing more of that character. So even if he isn't as integral a role as a villain, it's a character I like better. It's a story I like better. I don't want to see Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor ever again.
Yeah, you can relate to Zemo. You really can't relate to Luther. He just feels like a rich, spoiled kid in that way.
And you're gonna make a spoiled kid, make him intimidating, make him something, make him other than a freaking whiny brat. It didn't work. It doesn't work for me at all. So I don't know. I don't know if I swayed you at all, but for me, it's
No. I was going to go with Zemo just because you can relate. You can see his motivations, and I do like how he unravels them with just bringing them the truth at the end.
I like that too.
And Zemo is still alive. They don't kill him at the end.
I know.
I do like how Black Panther goes like, vengeance has consumed you, and he doesn't let him kill himself.
I like that too.
They can bring him back.
I hope they do. He could be a very interesting anti-hero at some point, possibly. They could even
that could happen.
I like that. I don't know if they will. I kind of feel like they won't. I feel like he's gonna be forgotten. I do.
Yeah.
Although Zemo is the head of the Thunderbolts in the Marvel Comics at some point, which is actually a weird, interesting team of villains acting as heroes storyline, which could come into play at some point. So they could bring him back that way, which I would like to see. But either way, I don't know if it's going to work out at this point. So right now he feels forgotten. I feel like Marvel is trying to move forward in Phase 5. Or what is it? Phase 5? I don't know what phase is. Is it Phase 5?
Yeah, there's so many phases.
I feel like it's almost like they're really trying to make a clean break and almost like change everything up a little bit. So I don't think a minor character like Zemo in Civil War is going to make it to the next level, so to speak. But who knows? Maybe it will. So, all right. We're down to our last category, better comic book feel. Which one feels more like a comic book? I have no idea which way I'm going with this one.
This is a category that I pitched to you, and I'll come clean. This is my let's give one to Zack Snyder category. So when I'm thinking about BVS, one of the biggest reasons why I love the movie is how he shot it, how he lit it, and how even the costume designers did their work. Everything to the detail.
Well, let's be frank.
Feels like a comic book. All right?
I'll interject this right from the get-go. We are both Zack Snyder fans.
Yes.
A lot of people hate Zack Snyder, and I get why they don't like him. But to me, but to a fault, even if you don't like Zack Snyder, you know that his strengths lie in the visual storytelling medium. Not necessarily the story, not necessarily dialogue, not necessarily else. He picks every shot for a specific reason. And that's exactly what you're talking about with BVS. And it is a very striking imagery throughout the entire movie. But so go ahead, continue with it.
This is like my final note that I took. There is no better visual director out there than Zack Snyder. And I thought about it, and I feel it works. There's like, if we're talking just pure visuals, Zack Snyder is the number one director.
I would argue Villeneuve.
I feel like he's more cerebral, and sure, he gets great visuals, but he works with tell me the cinematographer's name now.
Roger Deakins.
Deakins, that's right. I think Zack Snyder shoots his own movies.
That I don't know. I'm not a very technical person, to be honest.
I think he might, and if he doesn't, he has a very hands-on approach to that.
Oh, he does. He does.
But yeah, what I started, like all the details are there, and even like the clothing and when I tried to pay attention to BVS, it's like the patterns of Bruce Wayne's and Alfred's like almost jacket. They feel very. They're so, like everything's dark. It's grainy. It's like there's the saturation. Everything. The Batcave. It makes you feel like you're in a more fantastic universe, whereas Marvel movies, it feels like it's a heightened version of the reality that we're in. It feels like more like the real world. But the DC movies where Snyder is directing, it feels like it's like a different type of reality.
I get what you're saying. I can't hear you going with that.
And of course, the visual. And like people have been saying that they hate to see the pearl necklace scene. Like the pearl's getting like shot to hell again and again, but in BVS it's shot so well that I'm not opposed to. I get the reason why it's in the movie. It's so well shot.
Well, let me So you're going BVS. It's pretty simple.
I'm going with BVS, although I do love the Russo brothers and the way they shoot action and everything's so much more dynamic than in the DC movies. But this is just Zack Snyder doing what he's best at.
You heard it here first, folks. Jarvi created a category just to give it to Snyder.
Pretty much.
I had never even done that, even though I had heard stuff. But regardless, look at even when villain, we did The Rock. I created the villains category, and I even added on, you could say, and give them a fighting chance against General Hummel. But it's all right. I still love you anyway. And I also want to say that as far as Snyder goes, the reason why I love Villeneuve is my favorite current living director right now. I love everything he's done. And that's partially why I love Snyder. But Villeneuve takes the Snyder visuals and adds the stuff that Snyder's lacking. That's why I love Villeneuve so much. As far as that goes, like Blade.
I would say Villeneuve is the better director, but Snyder is the better visual director.
I think they're neck and neck. I think Blade Runner 2049, and it's like it's a visual masterpiece right there. Right. So many different levels, colors, schemes, everything else. But that's a totally different argument. We could do Villeneuve, Snyder's visuals, but I will say that as much as I love Snyder's. I love, for exactly the same reason you talked about Snyder's visuals, his artwork, pretty much. When you pitch the category, you pitch to me as better comic book feel. I think Civil War looks like a comic book come to life. That airport scene, like I talked about before, I've seen that in comic books. Like, I've never seen anything else in a comic movie before. Like the battle sequences there, the fight sequences that they filmed on that just reminded me of something I've read in comic books. I literally thought I'd open up a page and just put it on the screen. It literally shot for shot, the way the editing of of Civil War to me, almost like panel. It literally looked, and I guess maybe the colors of it, the visuals of it to me. Batman vs Superman was kind of more of a graphic novel. A little more darker look.
But that's exactly it. That's how he pretty much shot the comic book on film. Snyder, I mean.
He did to a degree, but I felt like it worked better for Civil War. I don't know. It's a visual thing for me. I think Snyder's is more beautiful, but less comic booky. It's more artwork for me. Snyder's is more artwork.
So you don't think comic books are considered art?
I sometimes, but I do it not as metaphorical. This is more of the grunt comic book that I've seen. It worked for me for that. I'm giving it Civil War. I know you don't like that.
You screwed me on that category.
I did screw you in that category. It's not an easy thing for me to say. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing because how much I love Snyder. We've talked about Snyder's.
Yep.
For some reason, the different avenues, even from the Rumlow fight to that fight to the last fight, they all seem to be, to me, more of a comic book feel. Whereas Snyder feels more like a. It's hard to say what I can't think of the word I'm looking for. It's more of a moving.
Well, I think I know why, and that's with most people is Marvel has the visuals and has the great storytelling. DC at the moment, like. They have some great storytelling, but what they're mostly good at is just the visuals at the moment. They don't have it nailed down as well as Marvel does.
That might be what it is.
So in that case, visuals and story is better than just visuals.
Yeah, and that might be what it is. That might be simply what it is. So, either way, that's where we're going to end up on that. And guess what? That means we actually have a decision made.
I think I know.
Do you know? I didn't even write the banner this time because I forgot. So we're not going to have the banner. This winner this week. It's Captain America: Civil War.
There we go.
6-4.
Wow, that close.
It's not that far off. My vote. If I had gone Batman versus Superman, it would have been a hung jury.
Be truthful. Is that the reason?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Show me again your notes for the final one. Show me the notes for the final category.
Generally, it's not even notes. They're just like. It just says question mark. Both are good.
Yeah. You saw it here, folks. He fucked me on this.
You fucked us. You fucked her.
You fucked us.
You said you create a category just for Snyder. We had to create a category.
So
better, more successful movie. Either way, no, I will be being completely honest. I didn't know which way to go because I do agree with your thoughts. I feel like Civil War just ekes it out for me in that fashion. Sorry, not sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Actually, so
I feel like the worthier movie did win.
Yeah.
Although I do love both of them, as I said.
I do love both of them too, and you'll find out where Civil War ranks on my Marvel rankings when we do that episode. Which we just talked about on air doing, so I have no idea when it's actually going to happen. There are a lot of episodes we're talking about, but only one has been decided. And let's pitch that now. One episode has been decided. That's next week's episode. Next week is for the second time. We're going live. Class Actions will be going live. It's actually it's almost like funny when I write the notes up. It's almost like a different podcast. We have Class Action and we have Class Action Live. Mm-hmm. Class Action is you and me going back and forth. Class Action Live tends to be a ranking episode because we tend to get friends in. And
with a great guest.
We get great guests and we talk about different things. And this week is definitely no different. We have great guests.
We have the biggest guest we've ever had.
That's true. Matt Kearns is our great guest.
Yes, he is.
Matt Kearns, he's been on Class Action before. He was on our Star Wars episode. He ranked Star Wars with us. He's coming back to help us out. And we have a friend of ours now and a wonderful human being, Mark Yodi Riley, has agreed to come on Class Action. I'm very excited to talk Superman with Mark Riley. We alluded to it before. We are ranking the live action Superman franchise, I should say, which means, and this is what we decided, so I'll let you get ready now. Superman 1 through 4, the Christopher Reeves, Supergirl, which is technically a spinoff of that franchise, Superman Returns, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and we are
Justice
going to include Justice League because it does have a big part of Justice League is the story of Superman. It is the culmination of what some people would call the Man of Steel trilogy in a way. Mm-hmm. So I will go with that. That's what we're doing next week, Sunday, May 10th at 10 p.m. Pacific. We're going to go live. I hope you're in the chat. I hope you can ask a lot of questions. It should be a good time. Mark Riley loves Superman, so I'm going to love Superman with him. And and also Matt Kearns is also a big Superman fan, so it's going to be fun to discuss that with him as well. And Richard, this is your first time.
So yeah, fair warning. I'm watching the Superman movies right now, 1 to 4 and Supergirl. I've never seen them before. So cut me some slack. This will be the first time. I'm not sure how it all turns out. Not even sure if I'm going to like them. I told to Paul that I will tell him nothing as I'm watching through the movies. So he will find out how I feel about the movies during the show when we go live. And I promise I will not sugarcoat it. If I don't like the movies, I will say it flat out. Even if it hurts Mark Riley. I'm sorry, I love him. But I will be honest. I will be 100% honest.
I wouldn't have it any other way. So that being said, also we got some other things to discuss. I don't know what we're going to do after that at this point. We'll work on that. Some days later on today, the greatest movie ever made. The action guys are going to be discussing Mad Max Fury Road. Another beautiful movie that I love. And where else can the people
Witness me?
Where else can the people find you, Jarvi?
You can find me at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, on Class Action on Action Industries.
And me at Paul_DiNuzzo on Twitter. You can find me here every week on Class Action. You can find me on PLD Projects, which is my own YouTube channel. I've actually started some shows there, doing some shows on V, doing the shows on the Clone Wars, reviewing them. I got some other shows in mind. I'm going to be starting the Harris Dance soon. Go to the PLD Project if you want to find out about the Harris Dance. It's very fun. But I should also say I'm on Call to Action. And I want to plug this now. Tomorrow night on Sunday night, we are going to be doing a live stream fundraiser for, I don't know if you do the movie trivia from down, Craig Gainier, the Barbarian, and his wife, unfortunately, Sonia, she passed away from cancer suddenly this week. And we are going to be using funds for funeral expenses and for things of that nature. We're going to go live after the Action Guys. So we're going to go about 8 p.m. Pacific. We do have some guests that are planned. I don't want to make any specific announcements of guests because we haven't really solidified everybody yet. But there are some big names that want to stop by and say, hey. So come and bring your money. We're going to bring your money, donate the money, get that money to them. That's what this is going to be about. helping Craig out in this time where it's just a horrible thing and a horrible time. So
I do love how this community comes together, though. It's like makes it my favorite community like this.
It is. It's heartwarming. It's heartwarming. Really,
it is.
And the Action Army is a big part of that. Like to tell you, we consider ourselves a family. And if you like the Trivia Schmodown, if you like the Action Guys, then you're family with us. So, yeah. That being said, otherwise, we'll see you then. We will see you next week for Class Action Live, and then we'll figure out where we're going from there. If you have any suggestions, like the video, comment, give us suggestions. We have some great other suggestions. Interstellar versus Arrival was thrown to us.
I think we might do this after the Superman episode.
I think, yeah, we're both kind of excited about listening to that. We're excited about that. Somebody asked this picture they want to do a Highlander movie, which I like. I love Highlander. I have to convince Jarvi to do that because I know Jarvi's probably never seen Highlander.
I just like half a year ago I watched Highlander, the first Highlander. It's so campy and aged. I was like, wow, people love this.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to have to convince him to do something. I'll have to see. We have some other ones we got coming up cooking as well. So we'll talk later off air. But yeah, that being said, you know what? Court is adjourned, my friend. Adjourned.